The ruling class is usually described economically: ownership, capital, assets, investment, influence. But wealth is not merely material, it is experiential. To belong to the bourgeoisie is not simply to possess resources, it is to inhabit reality differently, to move through time differently, to perceive risk differently, to experience society from above the structures that constrain most people. This is the phenomenology of the ruling class, not simply what the bourgeoisie owns, but how bourgeois existence transforms consciousness itself. The defining phenomenological feature of bourgeois life is distance from immediate material necessity. For the working class, survival structures perception: rent, food, bills, and employment. But the bourgeoisie experiences life through insulation. Basic survival ceases to dominate consciousness, and when necessity retreats, the world itself appears differently. Time opens, the future appears manageable, choices multiply, life becomes less reactive and more strategic. This creates a fundamentally different relationship to existence itself. The working class sells time. The bourgeoisie purchases control over time. This distinction is civilizational. The ruling class experiences time not primarily as obligation, but as allocation. Meetings can be moved, vacations extended, assistants manage logistics, workers absorb inconvenience. Modern capitalism presents itself as meritocratic, yet one of wealth's greatest privileges is phenomenological, the reduction of friction. The wealthy move through systems designed to minimize interruption, others experience the interruption instead. Class is spatial. The bourgeoisie increasingly live in segregated environments: private schools, exclusive neighborhoods, controlled workplaces, curated social circles. This separation reshapes perception. The suffering required to sustain economic systems become abstract, distant, statistical. The ruling class often encounters labor only through completed services. Food arrives, packages appear, buildings are cleaned, infrastructure functions. The labor itself becomes invisible behind seamless consumption. The bourgeoisie does not merely participate in capitalism. It inhabits capitalism as psychological atmosphere. Competition becomes identity, optimization becomes morality, productivity becomes virtue, even leisure becomes strategic, networking, personal branding, and status signaling. Under bourgeois consciousness, selfhood increasingly becomes project management. The self is cultivated like capital, experiences become investments, relationships become networks, education becomes positioning. One of bourgeois ideology's central myths is self-authorship, the belief that success emerges primarily from discipline, intelligence, and personal effort. And certainly effort matters, but phenomenologically, privilege often conceals itself from those possessing it. Systems appear fairer when they are already aligned in your favor. Stability feels natural when inherited. Confidence feels earned when risk is socially distributed downward. The bourgeoisie frequently mistakes insulation for virtue. And yet, bourgeois existence is not psychologically peaceful, because capitalism destabilizes everyone, including its beneficiaries. Wealth creates new anxieties, status loss, market collapse, irrelevance, downward mobility. The ruling class fears not merely poverty, but descent. Capital accumulation therefore becomes compulsive. Enough is difficult to define within systems organized around endless expansion. The bourgeoisie is rarely permitted psychological satisfaction, only escalation. Modern ruling classes often attempt moral reconciliation through philanthropy, but philanthropy contains a contradiction. It redistributes consequences without questioning structures. The bourgeoisie frequently seeks ethical legitimacy while preserving the systems producing inequality in the first place. Compassion becomes aestheticized, managed, institutional. Suffering is addressed administratively, without fundamentally threatening the hierarchy producing it. Alienation does not disappear with wealth, it mutates. The working class experiences alienation through exhaustion and powerlessness. The bourgeoisie experience it through abstraction. Relationships become transactional, identity becomes performative, human interaction becomes filtered through status and utility. The ruling class often possesses extraordinary access, yet limited intimacy, visibility, yet isolation. At the deepest level, bourgeois consciousness is structured around fear of instability, not chaos in the abstract, but disruption of controlled systems, because the ruling class depends upon predictability, stable markets, stable institutions, stable labor supply, and stable consumption. This is why bourgeois politics often frames order as moral necessity. Property becomes sacred not merely economically, but psychologically. Disorder threatens the phenomenological structure through which bourgeois life remains coherent. The bourgeoisie depends upon labor while remaining phenomenologically separated from labor's reality. Its comfort emerges from systems whose costs are displaced elsewhere, onto workers, onto poorer nations, onto ecological systems, onto the future itself. Capitalism functions most efficiently when exploitation becomes invisible, and bourgeois consciousness is partially constructed through that invisibility, not always through cruelty, but through distance. The phenomenology of the bourgeoisie is ultimately the phenomenology of insulation, a mode of existence shaped by distance from necessity, control over time, and abstraction from the labor sustaining everyday life. But this insulation produces its own distortions, the confusion of privilege with merit, consumption with meaning, and control with freedom. And perhaps the deepest contradiction of ruling class consciousness is this: the bourgeoisie experiences itself as autonomous, while depending entirely upon social systems and labor it rarely fully perceives.